Ever feel like, kind of stuck? Yep. Like battling the same old, you're not alone.
Not at all.
A listener wrote in, actually grappling with this very thing, especially after, get this, diving into ENON Jacobs' book, The 4 Wars.
Oh, interesting.
They were like hooked by this whole concept of the internal battles we all face, what he calls, wait for it, the wars of the spirit. And, well, they asked us to break it down.
And it's so timely, isn't it? I mean, think about it. We're just bombarded constantly, right? Information overload, external pressures, the works. But Jacobs, he cuts through all that.
Yeah.
Reminds us that real mastery starts within.
Okay, so for those of us who haven't, delved into this book yet, what are these 4 wars exactly?
He lays it out like this. The war of the material, then there's the war of the self, next the war of the spirit, and can't forget this one, the war of the man.
Intense. Definitely not your typical, battlefields and trenches, right?
Right. Think less, I don't know, army general, more like a samurai honing their craft, you know? It's about self-mastery, not conquering other people.
Okay. I like where you're going with this.
It's like, just as the samurai is dedicated to a higher purpose, right?
Okay.
To their code, their lord, Jacobs argues we should align our actions with a greater good, what he calls YHWH. It's all about recognizing those patterns that keep us stuck, those loops, and choosing to act in line with our values, our real goals.
I love that samurai analogy. So how does this actually, play out in everyday life? Let's start with, I don't know, this war of the material. I mean, I think we can all relate to that struggle, right? Money, possessions, always wanting more.
Oh, absolutely. And Jacobs, he argues it's not even just about the things themselves, it's our whole mindset around them, you see. He talks about these loops, those negative patterns that keep us, well, trapped. Like, think about it. How often do you find yourself chasing that next pay raise, that promotion? If I just had a little more money, right, then everything would be fine.
Yes. Story of my life. Always thinking the next purchase, the next thing is going to be the magic solution.
Classic loop. It's like we're so focused on what we lack that we forget to, I don't know, even appreciate what we have. Jacobs would say we're letting our stuff own us instead of the other way around.
Okay, so how do we break free? How do we escape these, material loops? Asking for a friend.
Well, one practical thing Jacobs talks about is gratitude. It sounds almost too simple, but instead of focusing on what you don't have, take a few minutes each day to just sit with and really appreciate the good stuff, no matter how small, this little shift. It can help you find contentment right now in this moment instead of constantly striving for that more.
Gratitude. Okay, yeah. Seems deceptively simple, but I can see how it could be powerful if you actually, did it consistently.
It's about getting those actions to match up with your values, you see. Instead of just getting swept up in the I need this, I need that, you're consciously choosing to live in a way that feels, I don't know, truer to yourself, more fulfilling.
So winning this war of the material isn't about becoming a minimalist or swearing off all possessions. It's the mindset around them that matters.
Exactly. It's your internal world aligning with your external world, finding that sweet spot between appreciating what you've got, but also striving for what truly matters.
And speaking of internal battles, what about this war of the self? That one sounds, I don't know, deeply personal.
It is. This is the one where you're up against, your own insecurities, the self-doubt, all those limiting beliefs that keep you playing small. It's recognizing that you are not defined by past mistakes or those labels other people try to put on you.
Jacobs, he has this one line that really gets to the core of it, I think. Insanity is the loop of lower vibrational yesteryears, an identity you never asked for.
Oh, way deep, right.
It's like we're living out these, I don't know, scripts, ones that were handed to us, not even our own choices, not truly embracing who we are now.
Totally. And he actually tells the story about himself, how his own mom, she used to call him, get this, Lil Greg.
Oh, cute. Wait, but...
Even when he was a grown man. It just goes to show those labels from childhood, they stick with us, shaping how we see ourselves even when they don't fit anymore.
Oh, man, don't even get me started on nicknames. Had one back in high school. I'm not even going to repeat it. But even years later, right, someone would say it as a joke, and I'd just shrivel up inside. Instantly back to that awkward, gangly teenager.
That's exactly it, those old identities. Total buzzkills. They hold us back from stepping into who we're meant to be.
So, okay, how do we shed those old identities? How do we actually start embracing our true selves? Where do you even begin?
Jacobs, he's big on self-love. And not just the bubble bath, face mask kind, He challenges you to love yourself like the dream person you'd date.
Ooh, okay. I like where you're going with this. So, Think about the qualities you admire in a partner, how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Then turn that same energy inward.
Exactly. Up your standards for how you treat yourself, mentally, emotionally, the whole 9 yards.
That's a powerful reframe. Seriously. Could be a game changer in this whole war of the self thing.
Totally. It's about recognizing your own worthiness, right?
Yeah.
Giving yourself permission to actually step into that best version of you. No more holding back.
All right, so we've tackled the material world, faced down our own inner critic. Now we're going full on, deep.
Yeah.
The war of the spirit. What in the world does that even entail?
This is where it gets, I don't know, kind of existential.
Yeah.
Even if you're not like super religious, I think we all have those moments, right? The big questions pop up. Why are we here? What's the point of it all?
Oh, 100%. And Jacobs, he doesn't shy away from that at all. Embraces those questions, even quotes that line from the Bible about seeing through a glass darkly.
Yeah.
We only partially get it in this lifetime.
It's like we're on this journey, but with like a ripped up map. And according to Jacobs, that's actually okay. He says those rough days, the doubt, the struggles, all part of a bigger picture.
Like when you think life's going one way, then bam, everything changes. Totally off course.
Right. And he shares this story about himself, actually kind of vulnerable. He moved to North Carolina, chasing the whole music career dream.
Which, spoiler alert, didn't quite pan out the way he'd hoped.
Nope. But here's the thing. He talks about how that experience, that perceived failure, it became this huge lesson in trusting divine guidance, like surrendering to the journey, even when it's messy, uncertain.
It makes you think about those times in your own life, right, when things went totally sideways. Maybe what felt like a setback was actually, I don't know, pushing you in a direction you were supposed to go.
Totally. It's all about the reframe. Instead of resisting, what if those challenges, those curveballs, what if we got curious about them? Trusted that they're leading us somewhere, even if we can't see it yet.
So how do you build that trust? Especially when life's throwing, like a curveball every other minute.
Well, Jacobs would say it's about strengthening that connection to a higher power, to YHWH. He's big on prayer, meditation, just being out in nature, things that quiet the mind so you can actually hear that inner voice.
So this war of the spirit, it's about surrendering control, in a way. Trusting there's a bigger plan, even when we're clueless.
Yeah. Letting go of the need to have all the answers and just, I don't know, embracing the unknown with a little faith and courage.
Okay, so deep breath. That brings us to the final battleground.
Yeah.
The war of the man. This one feels, I don't know, loaded, maybe?
It can be, yeah. And honestly, this is where Jacobs, his writing gets really real. He's talking about narcissism, but not how you might expect.
Not just like diagnosing everyone he meets.
Exactly. He goes deeper, the spiritual patterns at play. He presents narcissism not just as a flaw, but as this force that it challenges our own growth.
Okay.
He calls narcissists fodder for our evolution, meaning they give us opportunities to set boundaries, stand in our truth, develop compassion.
So instead of getting caught up in like labeling people, we should see these as chances to grow.
Exactly. Recognizing those narcissistic patterns, yeah, but learning how to deal with them with wisdom. He even identifies different types of narcissistic spirits. Cain, Demas, Edith, Aaron, Zuleika, each one's like a different flavor of toxic.
Well, those names,
Yeah.
ominous. Okay, give us an example. What's like the Cain archetype all about?
Cain! That's primal envy. The urge to tear down anything that makes you feel less than. It's everywhere, right? Someone else's success, instead of being happy for them, you're bitter, resentful.
I don't know. It's a lot. Like, how do you even recognize these patterns, these Cains and Demases running around
Yeah.
without getting, like, suspicious of everyone?
Yeah. It's a balance, right? That's where discernment comes in. Jacobs, he talks about really tuning into your intuition, that inner voice, helps you sort out what's genuine, what's manipulation. It's not about seeing narcissists under every rock. It's more like stronger self-preservation.
Okay, so not paranoia, more like trusting your gut.
Yeah.
And then actually doing something about it, setting boundaries when something feels icky.
Exactly. But that takes practice, right? It means doing your own work, looking inward. Sometimes those, wounded parts of ourselves, they attract that kind of stuff,
We've talked about these four wars like they're totally separate, but
Yeah.
I'm seeing how they connect. It all comes back to self-mastery, huh?
Right. It's all connected. Mastery over the stuff, the insecurities, the spiritual doubts, the relationships. It's one big journey.
So where do we start? Someone's listening right now. They're like, okay, overwhelmed, waving the white flag. What's step one?
Remember that samurai dedicated to something bigger. Jacobs would say, gotta connect with your own inner compass first. That sense of purpose. What are your values? What lights you up? What kind of mark do you want to leave on the world?
Big questions.
The best kind.
Yeah.
But so worth it to sit with them. Because once you know what you're fighting for, those everyday battles, way less scary.
Okay, get clear on your why, your purpose. Then what?
Then it's all about lining up your actions with that. Making choices that, yeah, they support your well-being. Could be setting those boundaries we talked about, could be practicing gratitude, could be 5 minutes of just breathing and chilling out, whatever works.
Small steps, big impact. I like it.
Totally. It's not about being perfect, right? It's about showing up for yourself day after day and making those choices that line up with, I don't know, the best, most badass version of your life.
This has been, wow, a journey. From, like, literal possessions to the depths of the soul.
Yeah.
But as we wrap up,
Jacobs
reminds us, these 4 wars, they're not a one-and-done kind of deal. They're ongoing. But with each battle, each challenge, we grow, we get stronger, wiser, more aligned with who we really are.
Beautifully said. Lifelong journey, right? Self-discovery, spiritual growth. And like any warrior worth their salt, you got to gear up. Get the tools, the knowledge to face those battles head on.
So, to our listener who requested this deep dive and everyone tuning in, we hope this has given you some things to think about, maybe some tools to use. Remember, you are not alone in these battles. And you, my friend, have everything you need within you to come out on top.
Nandemoii-SAMA